Hello there. Hope you're doing okay. Welcome to my Kenneth Boston Photographer little channel here. It's getting springtime, in Arkansas, and just weather's getting better, so hopefully the photography will start getting a lot busier. But I thought we'd talk a little bit today about zoom lenses and why people are always harping about, oh, this lens is not sharp, this lens, blah, blah, blah. They're always comparing lenses, and for every one guy that loves, a lens, let's take this 55 to 300 Nikon lens. For every person that loves this lens, there's another one that says, oh, the photos are not sharp, or blah, blah, blah. A lot of times, guys, I'm going to be scary honest with you. You don't know how to use your camera yet. And if you're shooting birds and wildlife, there's tons of hit and misses. It's hard to outguess what a bird is going to do. So you get lots of bad shots. You may take a whole day worth of bad shots, and there's nothing you can do about it. There is some hit and miss to this. But I'll kind of start any of these zoom lenses. When you start getting 300 millimeters or above, and you're shooting at something small that's barely, it's even hard to see in your frame, or you put the square on that little bird and it covers the whole bird up, there is going to be a lot of hit and miss with that. When you're shooting at the optimum range of a lens, hell, just look at it. Turn your image stabilizer off. Shoot some video with your lens, even though you don't consider a lens like this a video lens. But look how much shaking's going on. Look how much shaking's going on even with the VR turned on, guys. Get a camcorder. Try to zoom way out on something with a camcorder. Look how much shaking is going on. If you're going to shoot at the optimum end, 300 millimeters or bigger, you really need to get a monopod or a tripod. You got to have something help hold you steady. And if that little bird or rabbit or squirrel or whatever is just fitting in the square, you're really too far out. You want to take the shot just because the animal's there. If it's a big buck or whatever, you want to try to take the shot and just crop it as much as you can. If you're going to shoot those shots, and I do it all the time. I did it yesterday or the day before. I was shooting some cardinals, real pretty redbird come out, and I just had to get a shot. So I'm no different than you are. And I shot it like 1/500th of a second. That's where normally on the birds that are just sitting, I start out about 1/500th. If it's a little dark, I'm a little guilty of trying to make the aperture as big as I can. But a lot of times I suffer because of that. Because there's just too many things you can do in editing until you can lighten your subject up a little bit. My best wildlife shots have always been, F8, F10, and decent shutter speed of some kind. You just got to kind of, if it's a bird flying, you're going to have to pump up to almost 1/2000th of a second. But again, it's so hard to hold focus if it's way out there. There's just nothing to see, and your camera doesn't see crap either. All it knows is that square is on something, and you got to do your best to get it. We make too many bad shots as it is, and it has nothing to do if you have motion blur or some sweet tea, so good. Fuzzy photos. It's just because your camera wasn't set for that shot. Most of the time, companies don't spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to develop a lens and make a turd. there are very few lenses out there that cannot make the shot if you do what you are supposed to do. You got to know your camera, and you got to make your best guess. And a lot of times your best guess won't be good enough. But you may go out the very next time, and everything seems magical, and all of a sudden that lens is the best lens ever made. People give this lens a lot of crap. This is a Sigma 150 to 500, guys. And even with 500 millimeters, a lot of times you just cannot fill your frame up with a bird or a rabbit or a squirrel or whatever you're shooting. You got to learn how to be patient and get as close as possible, or spend buku money and get an 800 millimeter lens or something like that. This lens, to me, I bought it when I was in China, and I thought spending, the equivalent of, what was it, $1,300 US was a lot. But what I've learned is I have shot this thing, everything. I've shot portraits with it. Believe it or not, I've shot portraits with this lens. I've shot all kinds of flowers and nature with it, and I've learned this lens inside out. It gets a bad rap from some people, and some people love it to death. Again, you got to really, really learn your lens. You got to learn what your camera is seeing. Do you need to shoot in continuous focus or single point? And what I've learned about this lens is, well, maybe the stabilization could be a little better. This is a pretty old lens, but 150 to 500, 500's got a lot of reach. But also what I learned is that when you're shooting at things set at 500 millimeters and it's small, it's too easy to see the shaking going on. And look at this. This is a big lens. But there is one little secret right here. They don't send you this for no reason. Get a tripod. If you're going to shoot at stuff at the optimum range, 500 millimeters, you need to have everything possible on your side. I've shot tons of great photos with this at 500 millimeters. And I've shot a lot of bad shots too. But you've got to put the odds in your favor. If you're shooting some deer feeding or squirrel up in a tree or whatever it is, if you can get that tripod, especially birds at a distance, ducks swimming in the water and stuff like that, you can get a tripod to work on those pretty easy. But get a damn tripod, at the very least a monopod. That's going to help. It gives you some extra stabilization. Then you're going to have to play with the shutter speed. You got to know when you need to be at 1/500th, at 1/1000th. Only experience is going to do that. And don't listen to all the crap on YouTube and Facebook about this lens is a turd, this lens is great. You need to buy one that has the range you want, fits your pocketbook, and learn how to use it. Like I said, this lens right here, there's a ton of people who don't like it. There's a ton of people who love it. And same thing with the Sigma 150 to 600 or the Tamron 150 to 600. Every lens has a naysayer, and every lens and camera have a yay-sayer. Get what you can afford, get what you can use, get one in the range, and be prepared to use it. If you're going to shoot one of these 4-pound, 5-pound lenses, you know you need a tripod, hand holding one, unless it's just right there like you're shooting at something with a rifle. It's hard to get really good crisp shots, and especially at 500 millimeters way out there. These 300 millimeter lenses, there's tons of them out there. I just happened to pick up this one, the 55 to 300 here. Fantastic. optic quality of this lens is fantastic. The 70 to 300s, same way. They can make the shot, but just remember at 300 millimeters, you need to be aware of all the critical aspects. Okay? Don't blame your mistakes on the lens. Don't blame your mistakes on the camera. Learn how to use those things. Because like I said, I promise you, Nikon or Canon or any of those companies, they don't research and make those lenses to make a bust. They need that lens to be as good as possible to keep you buying and investing in Canon or Nikon, or Sony or whatever. There's a reason, guys, and just learn how to use your equipment and get some great snaps. And remember, every day is not going to be a touchdown. You're going to have to suffer through bad days and good days too. But anyhow, you have a great day, and I hope I'll talk to you again soon. Okay? So bye-bye. Go take some good pictures.